I think it's, yeah. And also I think just kind of, I'm cutting this out.
Okay.
This has been a lot of, I think, blah, blah, blah. Hi, and welcome to the Inner Moxie podcast. The podcast about not one, but two neurodivergent adults trying to live their life on the Neuro D list and not hate themselves in the process. I'm your host, Ronnie.
And I'm Zanny.
And this week, we will be talking about the empathy quotient.
I have a bean and cheese burrito in my car. It came into my head. I almost said that instead of my name.
I'm the proud owner of a bean and cheese car burrito.
Yeah, I was thinking. So, time to Moxie meter it.
Okay. I'm going to say, I'm going to give two numbers this time, both on a 1 to 5 scale. I'm going to go, mentally, I am at a 4.5. I'm feeling very confident about, I leave tomorrow for the gig I've been talking about on here for a few weeks now. I leave tomorrow. I'm very excited. It's something I do well. It's something I feel is very important. And I'm just very excited to be going. I feel like my battle plan that I've laid out is working. Mm-hmm. And as soon as all that mental stuff gets well, then I physically feel like a 2. Like my stomach started hurting. Oddly enough, I started getting weird muscle cramps in my chest, which is not, I know some people worry about that kind of thing. I have a history of cramps in my chest. But yeah, so like and also like round about 6 o'clock. So right before I left to come here, my body was like, you know what? You should go to sleep. You should sleep. You are sleepier than you've ever been right now. And it's like, I got things to do, body.
Did you afternoony?
No, I didn't. I did not.
I know that you were saying last time you were thinking of joining the train.
Yeah. Oh no, I should have, but I did not. I do. Oddly enough, while we're recording in Vegas, not this show, but we'll record some. I only take an afternoony, and in the morning I just kind of chill out with stuff, and then usually keeps. And honestly, it's like, well, what if it keeps you up late? I'm like, well, I'm in the middle of fucking Las Vegas. It's fine. I am okay with being up late at that, especially when I don't have work till 7 p.m. the next day. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm gonna go physically a 2. Mentally 4.5, and that's the ballpark I'm living in this week.
Okay.
How are you doing on the Moxie meter?
Well, better than the last few times.
That's good.
I've started taking notes on this, and I never finished the day. But I started. Well, I don't know about started, but post my little aerobic workout and shower, I was at an 8, and then at 1:45 I was edgy, irritable, and reactive, but still a 7. And then that was the last time. I'm probably still around 7.
Okay, still edgy, irritable, and reactive,
but feeling good about it.
That's fine.
As I said, my baseline is pretty irritable. So
in a technical aspect, edgy, irritable, and what was the third one? Reactive?
I think so.
More other people's problems than yours necessarily.
Mostly my cats.
Yeah. Well.
Because, they were starting to get
Were there many threatenings of being shot?
No.
Oh.
No. I mean, I wasn't planning to come home and work from home half the day, but Ghosty didn't eat his breakfast, which he is like, that's the only time he's an alpha is food. Like he is driven by his basic needs, his lizard brain. Like that's his personality. And he went out and he sniffed it and then he just went back to bed, which is not his usual thing. So
I know it's so worrying when cats don't eat like they're supposed to. Is especially like I have a history of having very fat cats. I'm like, you need to lose weight, cat, and then it doesn't eat, and I'm like, what is wrong? Just for like one meal, I'm like, what's wrong? Coach?
Right, and exactly, it was one meal, and then he ate the other one and is acting like himself. So, but it was concerning. Yeah. So I said 7. I still don't have a lot of marbles, but I signed back up for therapy, and through Kaiser in Southern California anyway, when I called to get that all set up, they can filter for an outside person. So like I'm going through, I guess it's called Rula. It used to be called Path.
Yes, me too.
Cool. But they were able to filter for EMDR because I was like, I want to do EMDR.
Yeah,
that's a must for me now these days.
Yeah, I was really surprised because even like last time I got hooked up with a therapist through Kaiser a few years ago before the one I currently have, and I like both my therapists. I've had really good experiences, but the other one was just by like chance. But like this one, I got to go through, and EMDR wasn't something I was looking for necessarily, but I knew like. You pick things like ADHD, queer friendly, sex positive, and
I didn't even think about those things. Yeah. Like the person on the phone asked if I had any preference for gender, and said no. She asked about race, and I was like no. But I it's not shocking, but I should be shocked that people filter for that.
I would say, well, because like I know I did filter for gender because I have an easier time talking to women than I do talking to men, and then I would say, there's probably, as a white person, maybe you shouldn't be filtering for race as much. But I do understand if part of the reason you're in therapy is you're kind of feeling the weight of systematic problems, you may want somebody who's had the same, if not similar, trials and tribulations in life.
Yeah, I guess that would increase the likelihood that person could understand.
Yeah.
I could understand that. As a white person, I automatically try not to filter for those kinds of things, but that's a different it's a privilege problem, but maybe it's not a problem, I don't know, but it's something that I've adjusted for.
I would say it's just not a necessity for your particular situation,
right? Yeah, agree.
But I very quickly filter out religious people. Not religious people, but some of them say that they do it. I was gonna say if it's important enough for them to point out that they offer religious help, that's not the kind of help I'm looking for. And that's for therapy, by the way. If you're gonna fucking my mailman, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Or my postal worker, who's not a man.
Like when I was in therapy school, some people, like it's the little fish symbol if it's not something like this, right, where you can just filter. I don't know. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But some people look for that because they're looking for the same like shared experience type thing, which is what I explained to my what do you call them? Cohort.
Cohort is the name of something.
Yeah, but an individual from the cohort that wasn't necessarily a friend.
I don't know.
My peer. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't remember if they remember this. Sorry, I guess we're just not real friends. I can see the value of it. And she was just like, well, I don't, like, why would you do that? Like, you're limiting your audience. And I was like, well, in Orange County, there's a good chance that you're going to have plenty of work.
And this is for the fish symbol, the Christian symbol? Yeah. Across America, I think you'll be pretty good.
Yeah. And at the time, I was more all of that. But even with the little fish symbol, there are so many different things when it comes to Christianity, and people look at it just like with everything else. 100%. And you can't assume that someone, but I think people do assume that. And that anyway, I did not filter for that specifically, but that's a good point. I do plan on asking what it's a woman, what her theory of change is.
Mm-hmm.
And if she can't answer me, then I'm just going to move on. Like, this is important to me. You know, every time I get a new therapist, the one I had before left this group. Otherwise, I would have asked for her back. Mm-hmm. But my situation is a little bit weird. Like, I know a little... I don't want to say too much about therapy, but it definitely colors how I enter the room. So I feel I need to be transparent about that.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to put anyone on the spot. But also, like, you should be able to answer the question. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and two, like, it's something, even talking about the Christian thing that I hope I'm being clear about is it's I don't think that Christian therapists are bad. They're just not for me. I have plenty of people in my life that I think would do excellently with a Christian therapist.
Right.
And so I hope that at some level a therapist would understand of like, this is what you're looking for. So them not being able to do it is not because they're a bad therapist. They can't possibly know everything and be great in every situation.
Yeah. Well, and I think that your specific situation, with atheism, you kind of already know that therapist that has put their religion out there has ideas about that in their personal life, even if they can put them aside, so I can see that.
Yeah. But like, why put that hurdle there? Why pick somebody who has to put something aside, because honestly, I don't even know if my therapist is religious or not.
You shouldn't.
But I mean, if I was religious, I could definitely see looking for religion as part of that guidance. And so like, then I should know in that case,
Maybe.
But
I mean, at my opinion about therapy and being a therapist, like, and this could not be right. It's just how I remember learning it, is, with the right tools, right. There shouldn't really be so many barriers as far as like helping,
Right.
And knowing that or not, like that also signifies a little bit maybe of like a personal relationship, even though it could also be akin to, a person's ethnic background, which is visible.
Right.
Usually.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
So, I mean, I don't know. It goes back and forth. Some therapists are like, oh, I don't want to say anything. Like, no one should know anything about me. But then, some, that's not congruent for their personality.
Well, I was going to say too, and there may be, people out there that are looking for therapists that they don't know anything about. And, I guess the point I'm trying to drive home is that I think it's all really good. I think you should be able. I think it's important to find a therapist that works well with you.
I agree.
And I'm pro any tools you use to figure that out. Within moral and legal limits.
Yeah, if you're not hurting anyone or yourself. Yeah. But yeah, so that is happening tomorrow. I still feel like the general overwhelm, and I realized I have a little bit of like, I was having more anxiety than I've been used to in the last almost year, and was like, I've regressed. And then I was like, no, I haven't. Like, new things have happened, and a lot of things all at once. And this is pretty much, this is to be expected. Like, it's okay. You haven't turned back into your old self.
Right.
It's just some things came up.
Too, one of the things I like to think about is like, if you ever look at like a graph that's going up, it's never always like going up. Yeah, it takes little bumps down.
Or it goes like,
yeah.
Or it could be like this, but the trajectory is still up.
Yeah. And I mean, fucking would love to have all ups, but you're going to have downs, and that's fine.
Yeah. I just don't like to. All right. Well, any updates? What do you call it? Housekeeping?
Housekeeping.
I just started reading a book via my ears called The Maid, and I really like it.
I like that.
And I usually, the books that I listen to, I don't remember what they're called or really what they're about because I'm not paying as much attention as if I was reading it. Because the book I'm actually physically reading is I Know Where the Caged Bird Sings.
Okay.
And I'm really upset in that book now. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. So the maid is, as soon as this person started talking, like, I don't remember the words to describe it, but the person whose head you're in, the main character.
Narrator?
Yes. I was like, oh, she has autism. She doesn't say it, but this is very clearly that. So I was like, oh, this is cool. So that's been charming for the last 24 hours.
Nice.
I don't know why I need to interject that now.
No, it's all good.
Because housekeeping, and it's called The Maid. She is a maid in a hotel.
I'd say it is a book about autism on a podcast about autism. A maid in a hotel when we're about to go to Vegas. It makes sense to me.
Okay. Well, thanks.
I will bring up, just as a quick housekeeping episode, to our dear listeners who have been listening, a small change is coming. We've typically named the episodes just about whatever the subject matter is. We're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We're gonna have funner titles.
Yeah, because some of them are real dry.
So I just wanted to add that little. If you've been listening and you actually have cared to look at the names of all the episodes, it's going to be a little more jovial.
Yeah, you'll still get to know what the episode's about in the notes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
we're not playing hide and go seek with the episode subject.
Like, now that these are all coming out and stacking up against each other, it looks like a fucking clinical manual. Chapter. What is that thing called? Table of contents.
Table of contents.
Which it's not necessarily bad, but it might it'll be more fun for everyone eventually. But priming is important. Knowing that change is coming is important sometimes too. So here you go. There's a bone for you. Okay. Well, there were.
I was going to say take the bone, but that sounds creepy. I don't like
Ew.
that.
I take no bones.
Yeah. Within the second it came out of my mind mouth, I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah. Good thing your mind mouth is not your mouth mouth.
I know, right?
Well, I missed a good opportunity for a segue because it's gone. But we will be talking about. Oh, here's what it was. Too late.
You're doing good. Keep it.
Chapter 18, empathy quotient. I mean, that is a buzzkill word.
Right.
2-word sentence. Which, whatever. This is what we're talking about, but it could be a little more fun. Okay. So why am I so close to this? Because I'm not paying attention and not looking, and here I am smelling it. Okay, so we on embraceautism.com, embrace-autism.com, you can take assessments. We took the AQ10 a lot of episodes ago.
Yeah, I know.
And so we took the empathy quotient because it seemed kind of fun, and we didn't really have to study. No, we just had to take the test, and we're stretched real thin this week. So, so that's what we did. Do you have any overview / thoughts in general?
This a question for you. Maybe you understood this and I did not. With a title like it has, the empathy quotient, the end results didn't seem to measure your empathy at all. Or at least when I was reading it, it was more of it felt like it was more of another autism test, just only looking at empathy.
Yes.
Okay.
Taking it, I was like, this feels like it's looking, it looks like it wants me to say that I have the worst version of whatever it is that they were looking at. I read like the critiques, and I read that the person that created this, his name is Simon Baron Cohen. And in my head, I did not read Simon the first few times. And I was like, Sacha Baron Cohen? What are the odds?
Is there anything that man can't do?
Right? Well, I was like, I knew that he wouldn't have been able to, not that he wouldn't have been able to write this, but that it couldn't have been him doing both. Mm-hmm. But then I guess that is just something I thought that probably could have happened, but it didn't because his name is actually not Simon. But so this person believes basically that people with autism have zero empathy. Like there's this whole thing, and that's kind of the framework that this was written from. So I guess while it does hold true for people with autism, like scoring within the range of lower empathy, the way that they wrote it, it's more about like a lot more about social skills and social interaction versus empathy.
Yeah. And also, and I mean, this is something I think that some of the test questions get into, but like, I didn't feel that there was a differing point of view of like, did you notice your friend was upset, or did you care that your friend was
right
upset?
Or like, do you enjoy this? Because that changed what I was like, no, I don't enjoy making someone feel happy,
right?
Or making them feel better if they're crying. I don't enjoy that. Because of the word, I was like, well, then I'm gonna write, no, I don't enjoy this.
I had some, I think, the opposite way. So do you want to start with scores?
Yeah, let's do that.
What was the metric that they're going off of? Like, what did the numbers mean?
Okay, so the scoring range was 0 to 80.
Okay.
Threshold score is less than 30, which whatever that means.
That was the thing, because I saw it was like less than 30. I was like, what does less than 30 mean though?
Well, less than 30 means weight like below average empathy.
Okay.
Like in maybe a clinical level or an indicating level. Let's see. 81% of people previously designated Asperger's syndrome score 30 or lower. Most non-autistic males score 42 on average, and most non-autistic females score 47 on average on this test. Okay, so what did you get?
25.
Oh, okay. I got 34. So we both scored below the average for our genders. You scored below the threshold, which I don't even know what it would really mean other than you have a little bit less empathy. I mean, it's 5 points below the threshold, so whatever this is supposed to mean.
Right.
Which I don't know, because the way that they talked about it, like the people that set this up in like the website, like they had a lot of critiques, and some of it is like, a lot of people who have autism are overly empathic. So some of them, like I think okay, so the Dr. Natalie scored a 32. This is what I was trying to say before. Simon Baron-Cohen created this test to measure empathy, but is not explicit in what he means by that term. And this is her speaking. I know he considers all autistic people zero positives. A zero positive is a person who lacks both cognitive and emotional empathy, but may contribute to society. That's a fucked up view of people.
Well, at least they're fucking useful. This Simon Baron-Cohen guy, is this like, did someone digitize his like old 1940s thoughts, or is he like alive and doing this shit still?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He, I guess, studies empathy. I don't know. I didn't look into him. I just read what their discussion said.
Sure. No, it's okay.
So he probably is out there. I would guess he's on the older side, because that feels like a very early way of looking at this.
Yeah.
I mean, this could have been salient in the early thousands, though, with autism. Like, people didn't really start thinking differently about it until really recently.
That's a very good point.
So, yeah, there's that. But, yeah, I mean, this is not going to indicate anything. I think it'll be interesting just to go through our scores, though, and like why we came to these things. The problem that I have with this test in general is they give you 4 responses that you can, and you have to choose a side, and that is really fucking hard.
That there was no middle.
That was the problem with the AQ10 as well.
That was very troublesome.
And that is one of their critiques of this too. So number one, I can easily tell if someone else wants to enter a conversation. And the options are definitely agree, slightly disagree, definitely disagree. It's like you have to agree or disagree. You can't be like, I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
Or I don't care.
Yeah.
Or
I don't about that in my life.
Right.
Well, like for me, and this is speaking of this one, and started off strong, was like, I mean, I don't know because I'm not usually in conversations.
Oh.
Or at least like big conversations, like where there would be people trying to get into them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm in those all the time at work.
Yeah. Well, I work at home, and I can tell you that my cat constantly wants to talk to me, or at least I treat her as such. But I can easily tell if someone else wants to enter a conversation. I don't know, because I'm never really in a spot where I would be the one to ever let that person into the conversation. So like, I don't know what that means though on the agree to disagree scale. So I put slightly disagree.
Because you didn't feel like sometimes maybe you notice it, but mostly you don't.
Yeah, more than anything, it's like, well, I mean, I can't. It's not a noticeable problem I've had in my life, so I can't like completely agree with. More like just the other. It was the one that felt was the least wrong.
Okay. And you have to make a choice. Yeah, I definitely agreed with this because I can tell if someone else wants to enter a conversation. Because like if I'm in, not like big groups happen at work, but I'm usually talking to someone, and if someone else is around and like their behavior changes and it looks like they're listening, which, okay, they turn over or like, I don't know, their behavior patterns change. Then yeah, I can tell. And I usually can tell someone. Now, whether I let it happen or whether I attend to that is a whole other thing, but I can definitely tell when someone wants to enter a conversation. Okay. Number 2 was a throwaway question.
Yes. Do you want to explain what the throwaway questions are?
Oh yeah. They had like, out of 60 questions, they had 20 questions. Did I say 40?
You said it has 60 questions.
Oh, okay. It has 60 questions, and 20 of those were distractors, or kind of like, I don't know if it's to throw you off or just like give your brain a break, or I don't know.
I think the idea is so that that you're not trying to manipulate stuff, maybe, Or like,
oh yeah.
But yeah, so there were 20. I get it being in there. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but I am saying that bugged me because I spent a lot of mental effort on some of these questions because they were exceedingly dumb.
Same, but some of them weren't. And like in the discussion that I read that the people who critique this said, some of them actually could have to do with empathy though. Like maybe not this one, but maybe it tells something. I mean, I prefer, and I wish this one had a neutral answer because I don't know if I prefer to hang out with it depends on my mood. If I want to be with my cats or a human or no one.
Well, it says like, I prefer, the question is, I prefer animals to humans. And like, I was like, I don't even really know what that means. Like I said, I have social anxiety issues. So if I am and I'm introverted, and so I am one of those people, if there's a party I will find and there's a cat around, I'm going to hang out with the cat. But if somebody was like, hey, this, you're speeding down the road, your brakes are out, you have to hit a human or hit a cat. I'm like, well, and I love cats. I don't even like bringing up that situation, but
I don't like bringing up these things that are never going to be a choice for most people ever. Yeah,
but that's what I prefer animals to humans. I don't really know what that means. Is it, do I like my cat better than I like a bunch of people? Sure. I love my cat. But like, not like I love my children, I don't know. It just seemed like such a weird question that in the end didn't matter. And it really bothered me at the end when I got there that it's like, and I get what they're doing. So I'm not even saying it's bad. It just bothered me when I got to the end.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, I just took it as who would you rather spend your time with, which was also why it was hard for me too. Because it depends on my mood.
Yeah.
But I didn't take it to that level on this one. I'm sure there were others.
I don't ever want to go mini golfing with my cat.
Well, that's it. We don't make impossible situations.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3 is another throwaway. I try to keep up with the current trends and fashions, and I definitely disagreed with it because I don't care anymore.
I disagreed with that as well.
Yeah. Someone may look at me and say that was not true, but current was the tip off. I don't know if I'm current or anything. It's just what I like.
Yeah. Well, no, I would say you definitely have a sense of style, but I don't think it's current or trendy.
Right.
And I don't mean that as an insult.
No,
I
don't want to look current or trendy because I don't know what the fuck is happening right now, actually. I don't want to look like that.
Yeah. I would be driven insane by skinny jeans.
I love skinny jeans, even though I'm not wearing any today. These are my fake joggers. They're comfortable.
That's important.
Okay, number 4. I find it difficult to explain to others things that I understand easily when they don't understand it the first time. Difficult. Okay, I slightly agreed because I find it annoying.
I think annoying falls under difficult. I also slightly agreed. But also just like, I don't really have that many occasions in my life where I'm explaining things to people.
Oh, well, I forget. Okay, you work from home with yourself. I work with lots of people. This is another distractor. I dream most nights. I do. I definitely agree.
I definitely disagreed on that. I don't dream that much. Or I don't remember them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they talked about this too, but it might have more to do with like the recall of the dream.
Yeah, we're back. As you know, I had a little bathroom break whilst we took our break. And
I was wondering who used the word whilst.
It's me.
Okay.
But did a little research on our friend Simon Baron Cohen. Oh. And it turns out he is in fact cousin of Sacha Baron Cohen.
Well, that was too big of a coincidence, I'm sure. For it to be completely with the hyphen, it's not super common.
And technically, I guess it's Sir Simon Baron Cohen.
Is it Sir Sacha Baron Cohen too?
I don't think it works like that.
I don't understand royalty.
Well, this technically,
knights.
This would be knighting. I think you have to get knighted on an individual basis. I don't think it's something that runs through a family.
I have been watching What We Do in the Shadows. And
isn't it great?
Guillermo. I mean, this is my 4th watch
Guillermo.
Through. Me too.
Oh, you haven't seen the movie, right?
No.
You should see the movie. It's one.
It could be bad.
I
don't like to ruin good things. It might be good.
First of all, the movie's good, but even if it wasn't, if it wasn't good, it doesn't make the show not good.
Yeah, but I just like to leave good things untouched. I don't know. It's a limiting thing and it's a preservation thing, and this is something that doesn't really matter. So I just choose to stay closed off.
Okay.
In this one, but maybe someday.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'll be closed off forever. But
I got enough things going on in my life right now. God damn it!
I can't introduce a movie like that. That'll just hit me over the edge. You already saw what the children can do, and they were doing nothing wrong. They were just living their life and having a great time, and I was so crotchety. Okay. Here's one I had a problem with. The way that they phrase it. I really enjoy caring for other people. Because the enjoy part is the thing that makes it different. I do care about, this is not what that says. I definitely care for other people and will. Do I enjoy it? No, I'm irritable about it.
Right.
Most of the time. Like, okay, I do enjoy caring for my cat sometimes. But what does that even mean? Doing the basics for them? No, I don't like to clean up their poop and stuff. I don't really love to feed them, although sometimes it's funny. It's just something that I do. I enjoy them more than I don't enjoy them. So right. I slightly disagreed with this phrase. I really enjoy caring for other people.
I actually slightly agreed with that one. But like stuff we've mentioned before, like I'm the main one that cooks in my family. I like cooking for people because that, I don't know, it feels, I do get a sense of joy from taking care of people I care about or being there for people that I care about. And I don't assign like a morality to that. But it is, obviously sometimes tasks of taking care of people. I'm mainly talking about my kids because they're obviously the ones that I need to take care of the most. There are, times I've been there for my kids when I would have rather they had not did the thing that made me be there for them. But dropping my kids off to school every morning is something that brings me joy. I do enjoy that. I mean, it's not,
there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I just, when they put it like that, I'm just like, I don't think I actually enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's kind of like the thing I kept coming back to with a lot of these is like, I don't see where any of these kind of relate to actually caring about people. Like I see the fact that you will take care of people even though you don't enjoy it as is incredibly valid. And so I don't know why. I don't know. It seemed like all of the questions that were on there was like, well,
I guess if you filter in the fact that he thinks that we're all negative zeros or people on the spectrum are negative zeros, so they would never enjoy this.
We may need to do an episode about this guy.
Okay. Noted in verbal fashion.
All right. You do all the research. I'll watch a couple of Sacha Baron Cohen movies.
Sounds fair.
I'd actually probably rather do the research. I don't like Sacha Baron Cohen, actually.
No?
No.
I liked him in Sweeney Todd.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think he's a fine actor. I don't like his projects.
Right. Some of the funny stuff you're talking about, because like Sweeney Todd was obviously a role outside of the wheelhouse of his.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't like
Borat.
Yeah, I don't like Borat. I don't like Bruno is another one of his characters. I don't like Ali G. I'm not.
I think I liked the first Borat.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It certainly.
I'm
funny.
getting you wrong.
How dare you? I said not to.
Well, I don't do what people say. Not anymore.
Okay.
Can't afford it.
Get me wrong.
Don't fuck with my head.
Haven't you seen what I've been through tonight?
Jeez, the slightest thing.
This is why I still pay the kids.
You pay them? Oh my God. Literal. Hello. Okay.
But yeah, I guess that's why when I'm telling you earlier, I don't like these because I don't understand the questions and I don't understand how the answers relate. And more often than not, I don't know. I think they're trying to be like, are you this paint by numbers thing that we're describing? And it's like,
well,
no,
that seems like where this person is coming from that wrote it though.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. It tracks.
Also, he's British, so that explains part of it.
Ew. He's not a little British tidy lady that lives in my head. Number 7 is a throwaway, but I definitely agree that I try to solve my own problems rather than discussing them with others. First. I try to solve them first by myself. And if I can't or I need help, then I will ask for help.
Right. It's so funny just because that is such a valid way to read that question, probably the more valid way than how I read it, and I probably would have answered definitely agree if I had read it like that. I read it as I try to solve my problems rather than discussing them with others, and which I put slightly agree. But like I completely read that as like more emotional problems of like,
oh, like talking it out with someone.
Yeah, talking it out with somebody of like, Man, you know what? Today was just, today, I'm feeling really, really down right now, and I could use a hug. That kind of thing.
I would never say this.
Yeah. It was just the first example.
This answer tracks for either way of reading that.
Yeah.
For me.
But also that it's just, I didn't think of problems necessarily as obstacles. I thought of them as things that were awry in life. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, but that is how I view when emotions are happening to me too, though.
Yeah.
They're obstacles because they're confusing and I need to troubleshoot. Like that's so.
Yes.
So either way you spin that one, for me, my answer is the same. I look at those things the same way. Just wanting to talk to someone because I feel sad or something is just not me.
Yeah.
I would rather figure out how I feel a little bit first, or at least de-escalate a bit.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, like, my knee-jerk reaction was definitely agree. But then I was like, no, I do have friends that I reach out to in bad situations. And then I was like, well, also, I have a therapist. That kind of, by the definition I was thinking of, it's like, no, I do go to a place every other week to try and work out my problems with somebody. And so I was like, I can't put disagree.
True.
Or I can't put completely agree, I guess would be the thing. So that's how I ended up on slightly.
I see. Again,
no middle one.
Right. None of these have middle ones, which is really annoying because this next one probably would have been. Well, this one was actually hard because, it says, I find it hard to know what to do in a social situation.
Oh, that was the easiest question on the whole thing for me. Definitely disagree.
I mean,
I'm sorry, definitely agree.
To know what to do or to do that thing are two different things for me. Like, I know what I could do or what the rules are or what is expected. So I put slightly agree because in whatever situation, I basically know what it is I'm supposed to do. But am I going to do it? I don't know. Social situations are weird. I would rather avoid most of them. Like, I know I could go and talk to different people, but that also produces a lot of anxiety. So I won't go do that thing. But I know what to do. Not most of the time. There is no like middle, because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and it's probably even, or I probably know what to do less than I think I do. But
I would say this. I think I'm kind of like a mirror of that. I really would like to talk to people and do this, but if you put, I have no idea. I mean, other than like, you should go talk to that person. It's like, I have no idea what to say. I have no idea how to approach a person. I have no idea. Like I told you, I got invited to a little party thing, and you can literally look at my YouTube right now of different ways to approach people and talk to people and things like that. I just have no idea what to do in almost any given social situation.
Up and say, where were you on 9/11?
No,
that's a perfect office quote. That's one of my favorites. Whatever.
It's good, but here's the problem.
You would do that?
Well, no. Well, first of all, I wouldn't clock that as being wrong if somebody walked up to me and said that.
I would. I would know that that's not something you're supposed to talk about in a just mention kind of way.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would. But because like when you said it, I forgot that was an Office quote. And when it happened in Office, I'm sure I can't be completely blind to it, because I'm sure I would have found that funny. But also the problem with it is because you're going to talk to way too many people who say I wasn't born yet.
Oh.
And then you feel old.
Maybe. True. I mean, I just would not want anything to do with I don't want to interact with new people. It doesn't always backfire or anything like that. Like, usually somehow someone brings me into something and, I just have no desire to initiate anything. And it sounds like you have the desire, you just don't know how.
Oh, deeply.
Like, I know how, I just don't want to do that. Like, I know the words to say. Like, honestly, it's kind of funny, but I also have used things from The Office and from 30 Rock in my personal life for stuff like this.
Like the time you did blackface.
Yeah, exactly like that.
And then deleted
Puke.
those episodes.
Yeah. I don't even remember what you're talking about.
Oh, there was a few episodes of...
But I said that?
No. I was just because you said I've used things from 30 Rock. And 30 Rock had a few episodes of blackface.
They did?
Yeah.
I watch it in my sleep if I watch it now, so I don't remember.
They've taken the episodes down. So if you're watching them from... Like, maybe if you have the DVDs. But
no.
And there was one instance on Office, and I forget if they've cut it out or not, but it was Krampus's sidekick. Remember when
I don't think they pulled it.
Yeah, when Dwight came as Krampus, and then they were like, "What's with this sidekick?" And he calls his cousin. What was his cousin's name?
Mose.
Yeah, he's like, "Mose, turn around."
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
It was a quick clip. But
yeah,
it was,
okay, I do remember that now.
Very blackface.
Yeah, that was in my least favorite season. Yeah, that's bad. But okay, not those things. Didn't even register those. I've used those things not in like the funny ways, but like you could interact with someone. I mean, the fact that I love The Office, a lot of people do still.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a fantastic show.
I just don't want to talk to new people. I will, and it's usually fine or even fun.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it.
That's why I say I'm the total opposite of not opposite, the mirror. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like it's the same thing, just mirror of I really do want to talk to people. I have no grasp on how to get things started, what to do. Or I wrote a short film many years ago that we filmed called Status. And one of my favorite lines in it, which just kind of represented, I used it for the character for dating, but it was me in all social situations of the guy's name is Bud, and he's at a club, and he's talking to a girl named Natalie, and she's like, "So, Bud, is that short for anything, like Bud or Buddy?" And he goes, No, it's just Bud. How about Natalie? Is that short for anything? And she goes, No. And he goes, I don't know what to say here. And that's just how I communicate with people.
Bud was my grandpa's name. Short for Robert.
No, it wasn't. He may have used it. No way, is Bud short for Robert?
I don't know. That's what
I was always wondering what Bud was short for.
I can't say for sure, but that is what he went by, and his name was Robert.
Yeah. I wasn't actually no, you're wrong.
Okay, I don't know. You're gonna have to go dig him up and ask him because I can't do it. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually an interesting. Not that this is gonna be so long. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But my parents are going through old memories and things, and I think they're going through my grandparents, some of their stuff, like pictures. And my mom sent over pictures of my grandpa from high school and college before World War II, which he was also in. Anyway, it was nice. And then some weird picture of me as a toddler holding a baby doll that I'd never seen, and she hadn't either. So no one cares. I don't really care about that either. I was like, not a flattering picture of me as 1.5. It wasn't. It was. Really
I wasn't cool looking at all.
No, it was weird. I was doing my cheese face because I hate smiling. So when I was 1.5, it looked really weird and strange, and I contorted my face all weird. Anyway, okay. This next one, I definitely agree that I am at my best first thing in the morning, which is a throwaway.
Boo. I put slightly agree, or okay. I think. I don't know. Where is it? What number was that?
9.
9. This is not going to be a one-part episode.
I know.
I'm at best for. I put slightly agree.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, number 10. People often tell me that I went too far in driving my point home in a discussion. This one was hard. I mean, people don't often tell me anything like that.
Yeah, it's very difficult because like nobody's filling out questionnaires after I have talks with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did slightly agree though, because I do think that just like reading the room, like if I start talking and then I'm not getting the same type of responses, I'm like, all right, like they get it, or they want me to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. My room reading is very bad, so I never know.
Yeah. Well, on a way later question, I researched. It all came together for me with that, because I'm just like, anyway, we'll get there. Number 11. It doesn't bother me too much if I am late meeting a friend. I slightly disagreed.
I also slightly disagreed. It does bother me if I'm late to meet a friend, and I try and be, but that's just being respectful of people's time.
Right. I used to be very rigid about time because my dad, I'm pretty sure he's still like this, but maybe it's a little more relaxed. But when I was little, I just remember like we had to be everywhere 15 minutes early.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like drilled into my head that if you're on time, you're actually late, which worked out in like work situations. And like the type of work I did for a long time was, going to sessions. So I was like, if the session started at 2:45, I was there at 2:45 knocking on the door. Like I was really good at that. And it also really made me mad when people would not be on time or would like be 5 minutes late. I'm just like, now it's time fraud. What are you doing?
Right.
Which
is also weird that they didn't have questions like from the other side of that. Does it make you very mad? Or I don't know. Maybe that's not measuring empathy.
I don't know. But it is true. Like, I don't want someone to feel like they've been left behind or not even stood up, but like, forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And that, is projection. I don't like to feel forgotten. Like if I'm meeting someone and they're late and they didn't tell me, like now I know like physical activities I can do. And since now smartphones are a thing, like, faces are saved all the time,
If we didn't have the ability to idly play on smartphones, I'm not sure I would have ever quit smoking real cigarettes.
Well, I'm glad. Mostly just because they're stinky.
They are.
I used to really enjoy a cigarette.
But just one.
Yeah. Okay. Number 12. Friendships and relationships are just too difficult, and I tend not to bother with them. What did you say?
I said definitely disagree. But like, I do think friendships and relationships can be difficult, but I do tend to bother with them. I mean, friendships, I don't have the most friends in the world, but I like to think that I have pretty good relationships with the friends that I do have. Relationships, it's like, well, I'm married. I have kids. I adore my family. Luckily, my parents and my sibling are still alive, and I am close with them. And so, like, I mean, I will say the numbers aren't necessarily high.
Well, numbers mean different things.
Yeah, but friendships and relationships are too difficult. I tend not to bother with them. I don't find that true. I hold very important my friendships and my relationships.
I slightly disagreed with it because not even like romantic relationships, which now I know, like I will never bother with that, but that's not even what this is asking about. But those are also just too difficult. I
did watch a TikTok earlier that referred to and I'm sure I've made this exact same mistake just because I say words wrong all the time. Aromantic as aromatic. And I'm like, you are very aromatic.
I'm very aromatic. Sometimes that's not great. I only slightly disagreed because sometimes it is a bother to like.
Anytime somebody says bother, I just think of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother.
Sometimes it's a pain in the butt to like coordinate stuff. I'm not a social initiator at all. Unless there's an express purpose. Like I will text you in a business-like way, anything having to do with this. But even if I see something that I'm like, oh, that reminds me, like literally earlier today, I was like, I need to take my afternoon. and this was like way before I actually did it. And I was like, oh, I should ask Ronnie if he's going to do it. Cause he said and then I never did that.
I get those all the time.
Those fleeting things.
Yeah.
But like, that's like an anomaly for me because I just don't think to, like, hey, how are you? Well, first of all, I hate that question because most of the time I don't want to know. And I don't want to tell it either. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. But I do think that they can be difficult. I've whittled it down to the level of people that I understand and they understand me.
Right.
So I have many, many acquaintances and a smaller circle of like real friends. And I do value those. I just don't also probably give the same amount of effort as other people, but whatever I have with my friends and family works.
Yeah. Well, and two, this might be part of it. Like, and I don't know, like we'll just, picking friends at random here. I have a good friend named Aaron. And Aaron was actually one of the guys I used to make films with. And now that we're not making films nearly as much, I don't see Aaron nearly as much. Not to mention we've both gotten married, all of this other stuff. But like, I guess I don't really, let's say it's been a year since I've talked to Aaron, which it might well have been. But like, I don't consider that not bothering with a friend anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that relationship's strong. And when there's a reason or when the seasons line up correctly, then we'll hit each other up. We'll have that mesh and we'll do that thing.
It's like,
but like,
time
just
hasn't passed.
Yeah. But like, just because it's not that season right now, I'm not like, well, I'm just not, I don't considering that not bothering with my friendships.
Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah.
You pick up right where you left off and that's how you know you have a good friend.
Yeah.
And that's all that, matters. You don't have to put conditions on it. Anytime that you have an expectation that things are going to remain at the same level, like that's setting your own self up for failure for whatever it is you're looking at. Because like you can't keep up the same momentum on anything forever. It's just not humanly possible. I will stand on that one.
Good.
Thank you. Okay, the next one is a throwaway. Number 13. I would never break a law, no matter how minor. I slightly disagreed. I think some laws are stupid.
Yeah. Well, and also I think some laws are immoral. I would like to think that I don't stand for those. But then that actually bugs me because I put a lot of, but also, and I think you've said this too. We both kind of have a rule follower kind of way about things, which I think is why it makes us extra mad when there are stupid rules.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem if I understand why the rule is there and I don't agree with that and it's not hurting people, then I'm fine to break it. But
yeah, also, by the way, I would never break a law no matter how minor. It's like there's nobody that doesn't drive 66 miles per hour.
Or if you leave the country and go somewhere where you don't know the laws. And sometimes there are some very, like if I were to go to some, very conservative Middle Eastern country, I don't know if it's a law that you can't show skin, but I'm sure there may be some places where you shouldn't, or it's, maybe it's a law, or I don't know, but I have a problem with it.
Yeah.
For myself.
Obviously. Yeah. Well, so there's, also this is like fucking that you've never filled out a tax form and I guess maybe I'm being too picky on that one right now, but I don't know. It seemed like a dumb question, but and like that's a
throwaway. So,
but the throwaways I put too much effort into.
Well, you put too much effort into all of them.
I know
is the thing, and so did I. Okay, number 14. I find it difficult to judge if something is rude or polite.
I put slightly agree. Same. I mean, there's some stuff that's obvious, but yeah, sometimes.
I mean, based on feedback and history, like I've learned that some things are not, or like you shouldn't say them, or like something I said earlier. I said, "Ooh, that was rude." Like, but it came out first. But I still judged it correctly, just not in the right order.
See, well, also that's a kind of weird thing because there's been, I think, and probably notable times if you wanted to go back through the thing where you've been like, oh, that's rude, and I was like, I didn't.
Rude. Yeah.
But I never said I try not to say it's not rude. I try and say I didn't find it rude.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, if you go somewhere else and do what you did and people find it offensive, I don't want you to like, you said that wasn't rude.
Oh, I would.
I know. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Number 15. In a conversation, I tend to focus on my own thoughts rather than on what my listener might be thinking.
This came back. I put slightly disagree because I felt like definitely disagree was like just talking at people. Mm-hmm. But also I didn't want to put agree because I'm like, and I think we had this problem on the other one. It's like, I'm not a fucking mind reader.
Yeah.
I don't know what my listener might be thinking.
Mm-hmm. But that is someone who has a lot of empathy though might be trying to figure out what this person is thinking. So they're focused on that versus focusing on whatever it is they're going to say.
Also, even conceptualizing, trying to figure out what someone is thinking while I am talking. Mm-hmm. That goes to the ADHD. I am not a 2 tasks at one time person. Mm-hmm. That's just not a thing that I can physically do. Mm.
I can do it. I don't know how much attention I'm putting on both of them, but I can usually figure out what the other person is thinking, but I'm also focusing on my own thoughts too. And if I'm fully checked out, that I'm not listening at all. Mm-hmm. I'm only focusing on my own thoughts, which also probably happens more than I would like to admit. Never here. That was supposed to be a joke. You should laugh.
I'm sorry. I was actually moving something up on. I was moving on the page. See 2 things at one time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 16 is a throwaway. I prefer practical jokes to verbal humor.
That's a throwaway?
Mm-hmm.
Boo.
I slightly disagreed. I don't know. I think I like verbal humor more, even if I don't always get it. Mm-hmm. Practical jokes can be funny, but they can also be mean.
Yeah, I don't.
Which is empathic, so this doesn't even make sense. It's a throwaway.
My big thing with a practical joke is a practical joke has to be funnier to the person that it is being pulled on than the person who is pulling it. And there can't be innocent victims is maybe a big way to put it. But there can't be collateral damage either. Yeah. And so, yeah. So I put slightly disagree because, and also I like verbal humor. Verbal humor is funny.
Mm-hmm. Like this is where a 50-50 answer, a fifth choice would be helpful.
They should just add a comment section to the bottom of all of these.
People who do sciencey things don't want to do interpretive data.
Yeah. Well, like who are they gonna hire to answer all of the comments that the computer? Yeah.
No. You should know you train them. Robots. Number 17, another throwaway. I live life for today rather than the future.
And maybe, it's a literal thinking thing or anything like that. The problem I've always had with that advice of anybody's like, I live for the day. What if there is no tomorrow? I'm like, well, there's mostly been tomorrows for me so far. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty well bet that there's a tomorrow. Also, like, I don't know. I just feel like, and this may be literal thinking, and I don't mean this as like a challenge to anybody. If you stop at red lights, you're not living for only today. Like you have some sense of you want the future. You know what I mean?
Sort of.
I feel like if you honestly believed that tomorrow wasn't going to happen for you, then first of all, nobody would ever go to a job. Like if you found out that you were going to die on Thursday, would you go into work tomorrow?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to Vegas either.
Yeah. Well, you'd be dead.
Well, what time on Thursday? 11:59 p.m.?
I'm going to die on you don't die driving.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste time.
But yeah, and so that one, I don't know. That one's one of those ones that's hard for me to contextualize because clearly people mean something by it, but I don't understand it, and so I guess I put slightly disagree.
Oh,
I do live for the future.
I put definitely disagree, but mostly because even I'm trying so hard to remember to take time to appreciate moments, but it's an effort. Yeah. So I am living at least a few moments in the future all the time. Yeah. Which I don't think that's uncommon or, even diagnosis of any kind specific. I just think I definitely would like to plan things out as much as I can, but too much planning, my brain breaks. But I am very rarely in the moment, only savoring what's happening in the moment and being okay with that.
Yeah. Well, and I guess there's something you said that I think resonated with me I guess that is my problem of I don't think that being mindful of today and being aware of today negates also I don't see them as mutually exclusive.
Well, you don't have to pick one or the other. And people like to just make, if you either have to be like this or like this, and it's usually somewhere in the middle,
which would be great if there was a middle button we could press.
Sir Simon, get your ass to, think better of people on the spectrum for one. Yeah. And for two, make a better instrument. Yeah. Give a neutral option because it's not, I don't always have an opinion on anything. Okay, number 18. When I was a child, I enjoyed cutting up worms to see what would happen. Hell no, I did not enjoy that or do it.
I definitely disagree. Please say that was a throwaway question.
No.
What?
That's empathy. He thinks of people with autism as a 0 empathy type. They have no physical or emotional empathy. So they would do this.
But here, and this is the thing that bugs me, is I didn't do that, and I don't like hurting things. But I could definitely see that particular, not getting much bigger than that, but being accountable to childhood curiosity.
Like the fish
also,
in Kill Bill.
I'm so sorry. Did you just say the fish and the dildo?
No, the fish in Kill Bill Volume 2.
Oh, I don't remember the fish in Kill Bill Volume 2. Although,
yeah, she killed the fish. She stepped on it. She's 5.
But yeah, no. But also, I don't know that I. Yeah. Oh, also the thing that bothers me is you can cut worms in half and they're okay. They worms are one of those animals that grow back or whatever.
Well, our skin will grow back. It still hurts.
Yeah, but worms are more of a loose collection of nerves than a brain per se. I don't know. I'm just saying it was a weird thing to pick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, rip the wings off of flies. I would have understood a lot more as a...
That sounds terrible.
No, that's what I'm saying. No. No, that's what I'm saying. I would have thought something like, oh, as a child, did you enjoy ripping the wings off of flies? But that says something if you enjoyed that because it kills the fly and it is torturous.
But I don't... measuring empathy doesn't mean joy. It just means having a sensitivity that something else could feel something.
Yeah.
Is what I think it is about.
I mean,
what you're talking about is antisocial personality disorder, sociopathy type shit. Enjoyment. But I mean, empathy has a lot to do with that too. So this isn't just for people with autism. It just so happens that this person thinks that people with autism are 0 humans or whatever that phrase was.
Yeah.
That sounds
0 humans. Oh, I kind of like I would go by zero human. I'm Ronnie Erstenbach, zero human. I don't know. I think worm, because of a worm's physiology, because cutting a worm in half doesn't do anything, and it's not, as a child you wouldn't really register pain. I thought worm was a weird one to pick of all of the insects you could have picked. That's all.
Okay.
Get off my ass. No.
Okay.
Yeah, kidding.
Fine. Number 19. I can pick up quickly if someone says one thing but means another.
Oh God, no.
I slightly disagreed. Sometimes I can, but mostly it's because of tone and it's like more pattern recognition than anything else. I've done it. I don't remember what just happened, but I didn't catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And you meant the kid, you're paying those kids. And we had just been talking about your kids. I'm like, you pay your kids? Like, I mean, it's not really what they're talking about, but kind of.
Right.
But
they're
like
parallels.
Yeah. But if someone, like one of my friends, half the time I'm just like, are you fucking with me? Because I don't know. And it happens often. And I'm not even mad about it. I don't feel bullied. And if I react poorly, like they apologize and stop. But, you know, sometimes I'm just like, I don't get it. Can you just tell me? You know? Anyway, number 20. I tend to have very strong opinions about morality. This is a throwaway.
Weird.
Right. I definitely agree with it.
I also definitely agreed with it.
Number 21. It is hard for me to see why some things upset people so much.
I mean, this is again another one. I put slightly agree. But also, like, I don't know, sometimes people get upset over things that you don't understand. And I don't think that says anything other than people are not cookie cutters. We don't all get upset over the same things.
Right.
And that's okay. Like, you know, if this is, I find it hard to see why things upset people so much. Yeah, I don't know. That seemed, I guess the long and short of it was like, yeah, but there are times when people, that's why I put slightly agree. There are times when people are upset about things that I don't think anybody would understand why they're upset about it.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, you're fine.
I was going to say,
well, I answered while you're trying to find your thought. It'll come. I said I slightly disagree that it is hard for me to see why some things upset people so much. I can see why. I just get annoyed and frustrated, and I think it's something they shouldn't be so upset about sometimes. Like I could see the trail, I guess you could, you know.
Right.
I very rarely see someone that is upset and have no idea why, unless I'm like walking into it, which I would never assume. That's not even what they're talking about. Like I can see why. I just get annoyed with it, you know, because so it's kind of like, I don't know if mirror is quite the right analogy, but kind of the same line of thinking there. Okay. All right. 22. I find it easy to put myself in someone else's shoes.
My feet are very big. No,
mine too.
They don't generally fit. I think I put slightly agree with that.
Same.
I don't, you know, I don't want to, I want to respect some people's differences. There are some things that I cannot understand as a human being that falls into all the categories that I fall into of people who have a different life experience. So I want to show some respect to that. But also I think I can pretty well, you know, be like, oh, that would really suck.
Yeah. Yeah, same. 23 and 24 are both throwaways. Okay, 23. I think that I thought this was a really weird one. I think that good manners are the most important thing a parent can teach their child.
I immediately disagreed.
I slightly disagreed because I don't think it's the most important thing, but I don't think it's the least important thing. And I think those are subjective.
Yeah. Well, that's also weird.
Don't raise an asshole. I think that's a good thing to say.
Yeah. I mean, do your best.
And manners, what does that even mean?
Yeah. Well, and two, like part of it is, and it just kicked into having kids, especially, you know, 2 out of my 3 kids are neurodivergent. and the other one, all my kids come from foster care, so they've had a tough time. And like, I'm like, are you fucking alive and healthy and have some way to take on the world? Okay, you're an asshole sometimes? Sure. Whatever.
Sometimes,
I kind of like people that are assholes sometimes anyway.
We all do it, and that is also a subjective thing to a certain degree.
Yeah. And I will say this, just because I brought it up, I legitimately believe all of my children are wonderful. And I wouldn't throw a single one of them in the asshole category. They do assholey things from time to time, to be sure.
Part of growing up.
But I am not in that group of parents that thinks it's, yeah, I don't know, I'll cut that out. My kids are pretty cool.
I think I would hope that people think their kids are pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. There's kind of this.
Otherwise, why do it?
Yeah, I am very surprised. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've talked about of there's a social pressure to do it. There's a this and that, and I think a lot of people just had kids because having kids was the things to do. And
I mean, it's part of like the trajectory of life.
Yeah, and like I get venting about your kids, but some folks is just like talking shit on their kids, and I'm like, I don't. Like, it doesn't even seem like you like your kids that much.
Yeah, no one put a gun to your head and said, have this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that that's an unpopular opinion, but really there's a lot more choice about all of that stuff than is talked about,
Yeah, well, and it's the point I'd bring up, of like, it took me years and years for me to legally be able to call my kids my kids. Mm-hmm. It was not a short process. And 9 months isn't a short process either. I mean, it's all these things are a lot of work. It just seems strange to me sometimes of like, because like I say, I get venting. I have had to vent about my kids 100%. But sometimes some folks, I feel like their personality is not liking their kids.
Mm-hmm. I could see it. I mean, I've worked with so many different families. I know a lot of things go into that, mm-hmm. It's not just like, I hate this one kid of mine, mm-hmm. Maybe there is only one kid and there is no help whatsoever. Like, even if a person is in a partnered relationship, like, mm-hmm. It's never 50-50, even if that's the goal. Like, so it's hard and a lot of things go into those things. But I mean, it was not initially my choice or my path, but I'm very grateful that I don't have kids, because if I'm acting this way with my cats, I mean, you heard earlier how I reacted with, like, it's not even about those kids, like just all the sounds and things, like kids come with sounds. Okay. Like, and that's what they do. This is just a better situation for me. Mm-hmm. I love other people's kids. I love hanging out with them for a few hours, and I love giving them back. Mm-hmm. Goodbye. You're full of sugar now. Go deal with your real parents. See you later. That's the part of parenting I like, which is not actual. That's anti-business. Yeah, which is, by the way, a great place. Sometimes parents just need to send their kids off to someone else who will spoil them for. Because kids deserve to be spoiled. They do. It's let them be spoiled. I'm not in a mental spot to do it with my kids all the time. And when they're your own kids, like, it's way harder to do and not overdo it. Yeah. If you're even able to do it. Yeah. Spoiling is for the others that are not the primary caregivers. Right. All right. What a tangent. But I just thought that was a weird one to throw in there. It was like, of all of the things they could put in there.
Right. And that one was a throwaway.
Yeah. And so is this next one, 24. I like to do things on the spur of the moment. Fuck no. Hate it.
It's so... that was another one where it's like, I don't know. It depends on what you mean by spur of the moment. And also it depends on, like, going back to kids. I have kids. I can't just be like, you know what? I'm going to drive out to Las Vegas tonight. Something I would do in my 20s of like, hey, what are you guys doing tonight? Nothing. We'll go to Vegas. And just as something to do, which is about around a 4-hour trip or whatever. There was plenty of, and that's not my life situation anymore. I have to plan out things, and I do enjoy planning out things, but also like, I don't know, I put slightly agree because I like to do things on the spur of the moment sometimes. So I guess I put slightly.
No, I mean, in my life space right now where my marbles or forks or whatever are just in short supply, I can't afford to do those things. Like sometimes like a friend of mine, she'll text me like, hey, you want to go to dinner with me and I'm not going to say it, her son. And I just can't pivot that fast for, because all of that energy that I have for it, because I can do it, it's just all going into work right now. Like, you know, that's just like kind of like the phase that it's in. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to therapy, because like, I'm like, I should not like spur of the moment things. Like I can adapt and change and all of those things. But right now I can't consciously subject myself to that. But this is not a forever state. This is something I'm trying to work past, because I know it's good for me when random shit happens, you know,
Right.
Or like when fun things last minute come up and I do them, you know, but right now I can't do that because it would cause more distress.
You know what? And this is totally off topic from the question, but I think the problem is that as I've gotten older and my situation has gotten to what it is, anymore, spur of the moment things that I enjoy, are just me, being unhealthy and not like in a grand sense, but it'll be like, spur of the moment things, be like, you know what? I want a cigar tonight. I'm going to go get a cigar. Or, you know what? It's 11 o'clock. I want a milkshake. I'm going to go get a milkshake. So they're not really so much like, I feel like the spur of the moment things I have just, I feel like spur of the moment is the negotiation I have made of calling, you know, of calling just bad habits. It's very spur of the moment. I went out and did a thing I wasn't supposed to.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to unpack that right now. I don't have the brain power, but I could.
I feel you.
I mean, not that I could figure it out for you, but I could ask more questions. I just think that's not what I'm trying to do. You know, no offense. Okay, number 25. This is not a throwaway. I'm good at predicting how someone will feel.
Yeah, I put definitely disagree.
Oh, I slightly agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I depend on people to tell me what their feelings are. I also kind of feel like, and not like in a dick way or anything like that, but if you don't tell me what your feelings are, then I can't know them. I'm not a detective. I'm not a mind reader. I mean, I'm good at predicting. Yeah, because good. At least they put good instead of I can predict how someone will feel. Because there are, you know, like if I had to tell somebody that their pet died, I would be able to tell how they're going. So there's obviously extreme cases like that. But
yeah,
for the most part, not only do I not know, but I don't. It's not something I'm looking to.
It's not something you're going to focus on?
Yeah. I mean, once you tell me how you feel about something, then yeah, but.
I mean, I can predict how someone's going to feel. Not like saying it out loud kind of thing, but like, I think part of this, I mean, it's pattern recognition. There was a point in my life when I was walking on eggshells a lot. So predicting what was coming, was a survival skill. So that's kind of like mingled in there. But, you know, general pattern, if I know someone at all, there are very few people where I couldn't reliably at 90% know how they're going to feel about something.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that they're my friend, but someone I've interacted with more than a few times.
Right.
I can figure this stuff out. But that's pattern recognition. I don't know if it's intuition, which we're going to get to that item, but I had to look it up because I was like, well, what does that even mean? Because I was struggling with that question that we'll get to later. Okay, number 26. I am quick to spot when someone in a group is feeling awkward or uncomfortable.
Definitely disagree unless that person is me.
Oh,
I can spot me pretty quick, always feeling awkward
right.
and uncomfortable.
Okay. I can always spot that person.
Mhm.
I rarely do anything about it. I don't. It really depends. I can empathize because I've been in that position before. I also, especially now, I don't want to make myself responsible for that person.
Right.
And their feelings and their feeling included. Like, I don't necessarily think that that's my job anymore. There was a point in time when I would try to do that and that I would end up with all of these fixer-upper friend situations that are not healthy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
also, like, you just as a human being, there's only so many of those type of relationships you can have in your life at one time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I do care about other people, but now I don't care about other people more than I care about myself. So I make different choices now. And not that I still feel that pull of being like, this person feels, I don't know, but it's also not my responsibility to take care of that for them or help them through whatever it is they're going through. This is strangers or like peripheral people. I'm not talking about my friends.
Right.
Like, I don't have to pick those people up, and like that has a lot to do with religion and how I was raised, you know. Practicing what you preach is a good thing, but like also in the Christian Bible, you know, you turn your head, you turn the other cheek all the time, you know, you abstain from things if someone is struggling with, you know, that kind of mentality, and being selfless and putting yourself last at all. Those are all rules. And how I interpreted life. So like I applied that to every situation, which isn't great.
Right.
So that was one of the components of how I used to end up with all of those people in my life that I was like, what is happening? Anyway. Okay. Number 27. If I say something that someone else is offended by, I think that that's their problem, not mine.
I put slightly disagree. I'm curious to think what you put.
I slightly agree. I don't try to offend other people. That's not ever my intention. But since I'm not out there saying egregious shit all the time, if someone is offended by something I say, if I know that my intention was not to hurt someone else and I wasn't trying to offend them, then I do think it's their problem. And if they want to talk to me about it, that's fine, and we can have a discussion. And I may end up being remorseful or whatever, but like I can't walk around with the rule in my head, don't offend anybody, because then I will say nothing ever.
Right. Yeah, I kind of came on this as like if I say something, sorry. There's also like almost like double negatives in these sometimes that I just linguistically have trouble with. I say something that someone else is offended by, I think that's their problem, not mine. And I said slightly disagree because, well, I don't definitely disagree, because I do believe that there is a large amount of things that I have said that can be very offensive to people who I don't mind, and in fact, am happy to offend. If you take offense to the fact that I have said, you know, sex work is real work, if you're offended by that, fuck you. That trans folks are valid, that anybody, that aromantic folks, asexual folks are valid and part of the queer community. If you take it, then fuck you. So I couldn't go with definitely, because I say things, and we live in a world where people are just constantly, and not that this is new, like different sides of different things offend different people. There are places where a man can't hold another man's hand without being offended. If that offends you, fuck you.
Or murdered.
Yeah. So to that, but also like I do legitimately, I don't want to hurt people's feelings. And I have, I think we've talked about it before. I've had a history of digging too deep for rebuttals. Maybe going a little harder than I should. And so I try and be conscious of that. And also, you know, I certainly have a life of growing up around or enjoying more fringe outskirts entertainment and media. Not only that, I would say just like the parlance of growing up in the 90s, like the amount I threw around gay when I was a kid. That, you know, I'm as an adult, I realized that was incorrect. That was not what I wanted to be putting out in the world. So to that degree, I do pay attention to if I have offended people, because I do want to make sure that I'm not throwing out the wrong things into the world. Or if I shouldn't, if, you know, I'm 40, hopefully I still got some years left on this world. And if I do, I'd like to direct them into the person I would want to be more, which is a person that doesn't hurt people.
Yeah. Unless they're asshole groups of, you know.
Well, those people just fucking, yeah. I don't even, you know what? Honestly, more than wanting to hurt them, I hope they change. I legitimately don't want to hate anybody. I don't like hate. It feels ugly to me and makes me very uncomfortable.
This brings something up that happened yesterday.
Okay.
I was looking on Facebook. My mom's cousin, I won't say her name. I met her once.
It's Judith.
I don't know why I'm friends with her on Facebook.
That's how Facebook works.
Yeah, it is. It's Pride right now. You know, the big Pride celebration just happened in West Hollywood, and I'm sure other places all around. And so yesterday was Monday, the 3rd of June, and this person posted a photo, not of real, it's like a drawing, and it was like at night, and it was a silhouette of a man and a woman, and said Happy Pride. And I was just like, I fucking hate that. Like, I don't want to censor any of this stuff. I don't think that my mom cares. And I know she doesn't agree. And so I was looking at the comments, and this is the only Pride I celebrate. And then someone quoted some Bible verse, and I was just like so mad. I was like, I want to do something, but the type of feelings I'm feeling, I will not change their mind. I will be coming at them in a way that they are coming at me and my brother and my people. And so change will not be, I just settled on don't say anything and just unfollow. Because I don't know a better way to go about it. Because if you say something, then you're just going to get an argument, and no one's mind is going to be changed. So that is pointless.
Facebook arguments aren't the greatest.
No, but this is like the first time I was really tempted, and I drafted a few things, and then I drafted like a personal mess, and then I was like, I'm spending too much time, and this person is not going to change their mind.
I do remember one time. This would have been probably around 2016. I believe, although it feels like it might have been earlier than that. We'll just say it. Donald Trump was running for president of the United States of America. 2016. And there was a group of people on the street corner that were, promoting him, I guess you'd call it. But they had the Trump signs and, blah, blah, blah. And so I was driving by, and I saw the group of Trump supporters, and I was driving with my daughter, my youngest daughter, and I was like, Mija, I'm going to roll down the window. We're going to yell at them. And so we drive by, and I was like, you don't have to say anything. Just boo as we drove by, and we just go, boo. And I was like, I want you to understand what we did right now there was nothing great about what we did right now. We were not brave. We were very cowardly, but it was lethargic and it felt good. And sometimes
it was lethargic?
Cathartic.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, maybe it's lazy.
You know what?
Know.
She was too young to know the big words anyway.
Yeah.
But I was like, the main point is, what we did was cowardly, but sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's fine. They don't deserve our bravery. We'll reserve that for something else.
I mean, she must have been really young. You
Yeah.
said she's 12 now. That was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it must. And that's also true because like the Trump supporters were just like, they still went out after he won. I did not understand what they were. I mean, anyway, it couldn't have been. Yeah, because 2016 was so long ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, at one point, saw a bunch of Trump people on the thing. And that story still plays like that.
Sometimes those little things feel good.
Yeah.
Those little, you're not making a difference, but you did something that, and honestly,
sometimes
it wasn't egregious.
Yeah.
You weren't.
No, I didn't run them over.
I mean, I guess I can't say what you weren't rude.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I didn't yell any obscenities. I didn't.
It was a little silly in nature.
Yeah. And I don't know what I said. I was like, nothing about what we did was brave. What we did was cowardly, but I thought that was a perfect,
That's a good one.
teachable moment for my daughter of like, it doesn't always have to be the most righteous thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You didn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Oh, okay. 28. If anyone asked me if I liked their haircut, I would reply truthfully, even if I didn't like it.
I put definitely disagree.
I put slightly.
I'll put it to you this way. If there's anybody I know, at least even decently, and they were like, hey, I want you to really honestly tell me, I got this new haircut. What do you think of it? I would, if I didn't like it, I would say so in the nicest possible way. But in general, if you're a person at the office, a person that I know or just also like somebody who's just like really excited about their new haircut, I'd be like, oh, yeah, looks good. I know this is going to sound weird. I have no problem with those kinds of lies. And I like to consider myself a guy who's pretty invested in truth. I feel like that is,
well, if someone's asking a question they don't want a truthful answer to like that, if you can tell this person is sensitive or whatever, and they would not react well, then I could see that, the auto response for how are you is I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I can understand that.
Yeah.
I, slightly disagreed because while I wouldn't be like, I think your hair looks stupid. If someone would ask me directly, do you like my new haircut? I would find something to say about it. That wouldn't necessarily mean I liked it, but it would be something that, I don't know, a distractor.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
I like distractor. Like, do you like my new haircut? Godzilla.
Well, okay. Oh yeah, like that's what do they call that cut? Or, I've seen those cuts out there. What's that? Something like that, to where it seems like I like it. Or I'm willing to talk about it at least.
Yeah.
And And
actually I've heard that that's like a thing you can do of like, if somebody comes to you and they're excited about their haircut, you don't, especially at first, if they're really excited about it, you don't have to lie, but, the truth, people always have this thing of like, well, I'm just being honest. I'm like, you can be kind with honesty.
Yeah.
By the way, again, I have no problem just lying about that. Unless, of course, you stop and ask me, hey, no, seriously, what do you really think about this? And I don't like it, then I can find a kind way of telling you. It would be, more of like, not really my thing. And a bunch of honest stuff of like, I'm used to your old haircut. So I don't know. Give me a little while. Let me see how it does. I think it could work. Also, who the fuck am I to judge fashion?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you
very
agreed
rarely...
to that a little too quickly. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, who the fuck are you, weirdo?
We don't know who you are in fashion. Okay. Yeah. I mean, finding some way to talk about it. If you're hearing this and you know me in real life, I guess this is the gamble that you accept when you ask me questions about my opinion. All right. Number 29. I can't always see why these negatives are really hard to read.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't always see why someone should have. I can't always see why someone should have felt offended by a remark. I slightly agree.
I definitely agree. Well, because it's like I can't always. Like if they said I never see why someone, then I could say slightly disagree.
But that's basically what this means.
I hate the way they word these things.
Yeah. I mean, I can see things sometimes, but I also don't care. Like a person who gets offended by X, Y, or Z, it's more about, okay, is this something that I think a person should get offended by, whether or not I'm going to care about it? I don't know.
Also, like, and it's just a thing I have of like, I can't always see why someone should have felt offended by a remark. I don't know. Like, I don't think I feel like offense is also like
pride.
No, like being scared or like what's funny. I don't think there's a should involved in it. I take offense to a lot of things. I hate these people that get up and they're like, oh, nothing offends me. And I'm like, should offend you. It's fine. It's how you deal with being offended. And how you can, again, what you're getting offended at and all these different things. So I don't know. The word should made it very difficult for me.
I mean, there's different realms. Like if it's about me personally, I have a very thick skin. So most things are not going to offend me if you're telling me something about myself that I don't agree with. Okay, well, I don't agree with you. I don't care. Usually I don't care about this person's opinion, so they can just like go away or, I don't absorb that. But there are many things like things going on in the world or things that make me, things that are very, like the way that, how pigs are slaughtered in the US for the most part, like that makes me, I don't want to eat bacon. It offends me. And I should be offended by that. I care about animals.
Yeah.
I am not a vegetarian or vegan, but I do care about practices. And it is very offensive to me how most things go down for animals. So,
right.
Yeah. But a remark. And I read this as if it was supposed to be a remark directed at me or directed at someone. I mean, I don't know. Like being personally offended by something someone says. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go into it. Like, is this person willingly ignorant or just missed something, or are they trying to be funny, or like what is the purpose here? I mean, I don't know. I have a very thick skin when it comes to.
Oh, see, I thought of it as me saying something like a remark I had made.
I don't know. Okay, last one we're going to cover today because it's late. And it's a throwaway. People often tell me that I'm very unpredictable. Nope.
I also definitely disagree. But also, people don't often tell me I am blank. I don't people aren't summing me up at the end of conversations.
Right. I mean, that I always think about that when these kinds of things come up. But then I am like, okay, no one is going to say that point blank. But, the way I try to think about how people describe me to me, like with comments. So like, oh, you really like your routines, huh? Or, oh, I never know what you're going to say.
Right.
Those things if someone said that about me, okay, maybe I'm a little bit unpredictable. But I think I'm pretty easy to predict as far as what I'm going to do in most contexts anyway. Okay. All done. Woo! I shouldn't have a mic drop every time. Not a
Well, you
fun
should
stick.
never have a mic drop. That's a paper drop.
It's a paper drop.
And you can knock yourself out with the paper drop.
All done for today.
We're 30 questions through the 60 questions. We're going to break it into a part 2.
Yeah.
So
fun discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if you enjoyed what you heard tonight, any bit or piece of it, feel free to like, subscribe, rate, give us a 5-star, 5 whatever the measure is.
Yeah.
Let me read this. Okay. Why is it taking me 100 million years to read this?
100 million years.
Okay, if you want to follow us on Instagram or TikTok, you can do so at InnerMoxiePod on either or both. You could email us at myinnermoxiepod@gmail.com. Tell us what you think about anything. Tell me a story. You can find us on Patreon. Find us Inner Moxie Podcast. That's what we're called on there.
Absolutely adore if somebody actually just wrote a story into us.
Please do. Make it short.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me if I like it, because we just talked about that. You could follow me if you want on Instagram. I am at Xanism, Zannism. I am a religion and a disease. And this is hard to say as I was rubbing my temple. And my nose is about to run. I better catch it.
I know it was a flub up, but I actually kind of like I'm a religion as a disease as well. If you want to hear more of my ramblings, you can check out my other podcast, the Band Media Podcast. I'm also on the socials, but I am most active on TikTok at Band Ronnie.
Yep. And until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags. Bye.
Later.